Youths in River State defied an earlier ban on protests by Governor Nyesom Wike and took to the streets to join voices with a nationwide campaign against police brutality. Correspondent Uche Okoro reports on that.
Port Harcourt Pleasure Park was the meeting point. At first, it appeared as though the protest would not hold due to an overnight announcement by the state government that such gatherings had been prohibited. But it wasn't long before the protesters began to gather.
We say they are prosecuting SARS audio and people are still dying, and they say they are banning SARS and SARS are still doing what they like. How can we take what the president is saying when the SARS are doing their own thing? We are tired. Please take this to the governor. We voted him. We voted him, and we are here to protest peacefully. We are here to protest peacefully, and we are tired. Nobody is going to stop us.
Gradually, the crowd increased in size and eventually began their march along the Port Harcourt-Aba Expressway. Making their demand for a reformed Nigerian police known through chanting and singing, the protesters in their thousands headed for the River State Government House. They arrived at their destination insisting that the governor must address them.
We are demanding justice for Solomon. We are demanding that Mike, their team leader, Samuel Sunday, who dropped him at the mortuary, Friday Ikoko and Wilson, this is the team that were involved in my brother's killing.
You cannot take a madman and change his clothes. He still remains a madman. He's mentally sick. What we want is that take these people to a rehab center. Not just that, we also want what we call a reorientation program every 3 months for all policemen in Nigeria, so that they will know that human lives are quite very important.
After about 5 hours, Governor Wike emerges.
Now let me tell you, I am the only state, the only governor who has come out to fight against SARS. And I said they must grab the SARS. No governor came out, not one.
The crowd dispersed with some feeling of satisfaction that their voices were heard, even though the quest for a reformed police is far from over. Uche Okoro, TVC News, Port Harcourt.
All right, TVC News correspondent Uche Okoro joins me now from Port Harcourt to bring us up to speed with developments in River State. Well, Uche, the 5-point demand of the End SARS campaigners or protesters have all been met. I wonder what the language is now on the streets.
Well, the language on the streets is one of distrust. Yes, the Inspector General of Police has disbanded the Special Anti-Robbery Squad. We've had, leaders of the country come out to speak to the public. We've also had, like you said, the 5-point demand met by the government. But the language on the street right now is still one of distrust. You still hear the people saying, despite what the government is saying, despite what the police is saying, we still have these officers committing a lot of infringements on the rights of Nigerians. I think this is just a product of years of trust that has been eroded between the leadership and the citizens. I think it's going to take, from my observation, from what I saw on the streets of Port Harcourt today, it's going to take a lot more than just meeting those 5-point demands to restore public confidence in the police, to restore public confidence in the Nigerian system, as it were. So yeah, so that's what the residents of Port Harcourt are saying, that they need to see changes before they can, begin to feel that something serious is being done. So that's the situation on the streets of Port Harcourt.
All right, now when they exactly like they say, is part of what youths in other parts of the country also say. But if I have to narrow it down to River State, where you are, and from what you have heard from the people on the streets. Now, the 5 demand being met, and they say it goes far beyond that. What do they hope to see before they can leave the streets and go about their normal businesses?
Well, Mike, I can tell you for a fact that there are a lot of pending cases of police brutality that have yet been responded to by the police favorably in terms of, from the perspective of the protesters. I'll give you one instance. You have justice for Chima. You remember that popular story of the mechanic who was allegedly tortured to death in police custody? That case is still pending. You also have another case recently which is trending now, justice for Slick, a musician, an up-and-coming musician who was also allegedly killed by officers of the special, or rather the anti-kidnapping unit. So there are a lot of pending cases that the police is yet to investigate and bring to a logical conclusion. So beyond, these demands in court that have been met by the authorities, residents of Port Harcourt want to see justice for Chima. Residents of Port Harcourt want to see justice for Slick, and several other cases that are still pending. It's not enough to come out and say, okay, we have met these demands. They want to see those persons who have been killed or alleged to have been killed by the police, these cases investigated beyond the oratory, investigated beyond the cameras, and actually brought to a logical conclusion. So those two cases stick out like a sore thumb in the police here, in the policing and security infrastructure of Rivers. That I can tell you that until some of those cases are properly dealt with, residents of Port Harcourt may not have that confidence that the government expects that the public would have in the system.
All right. Uche Okoro, thank you very much for bringing us up to speed on these issues there. Thank you.